going on, guys? This is Mr. Ryan shooting it, and we are back with another video. And in today's video we are going to be doing question marks and exclamation marks. So without further ado, let's crack on. So firstly, we're going to be discussing question marks. Now question marks go at the end of, you've guessed it, questions. But questions tend to start with a few important words so you can tell that they're questions. These words are who, what, where, when, and how. So here is an example of our first question. What time is it? That is, what time is it? And the reason this is a question is because A, it starts with the word what, and that's one of the 5 key words that I mentioned from the list before. But also, it ends in a question mark, and that is the key difference. Because it ends in a question mark, we can clearly identify that this is a question as we're asking somebody or something, what time is it? Here is the second example of a question. How are you today? That is, how are you today? Again, we can tell this is a question because it starts with the word how, which is one of the 5 key words from the list once again, and also it ends in a question mark, which you've guessed it is the key ingredient in order to make it a successful question. And the reason this is a question because we're asking how somebody is on that particular day. Now before we move on to the question marks quiz, I'm going to give you a couple little tips because often people don't use question marks correctly, or they'll use them at the wrong time, or they'll even use the wrong punctuation altogether, and we can't be having that. So here is an example. So first I'm going to give you an example of where question marks shouldn't go in a sentence. So if I say, today I walk to school. So if I say, today I walk to school like this, and I put a question mark at the end, there's a little bit of a problem because we're not asking anybody anything. We're not using, firstly, the 5 key words that you can see on the screen here, like the who, the what, the where, the how, etc. Instead, we're just saying to somebody that we're walking to school today, and that's not really a question. So it should have a question mark at the end, and that's one thing that people do that's incorrect. So another thing that people do wrong when it comes to questions is they put a full stop at the end of a sentence that should be a question. So for example, they'll write a sentence down that'll say, who are you? So you're simply asking who somebody is, and that is clearly a question because we've got the word who, but in this example, full stop at the end. So that would be classed as a statement in the English language, and we need to make sure that we put a question mark at the end of that sentence instead in order for it to be a question. Otherwise, when you're doing your tests at school or writing this down in general, it's not going to make very much sense, and the teacher won't be happy, and that won't be very good for anyone. So now it's time for the question marks quiz. So on the screen here, Mr. Ryan Jr. is going to be putting 2 different sentences on the screen, which are as follows. Where is the train station? And today is a good day. So that is, where is the train station? And today is a good day. All I want you to do is identify the sentence which needs the question mark. And you've guessed it, is where is the train station? Now the reason for that is because it starts with the word where, which is one of the 5 key words that I mentioned at the start of the lesson. So therefore, you always have a question mark at the end, especially if a sentence starts with one of those words. So now we are going to be moving on to, you've guessed it, exclamation marks. So without further ado, let's crack on with it. Now, exclamation marks are often used at the end of sentences which are used to express some form of emotion, whether it's happiness, sadness, excitement, etc. But they add that little bit of emotion and tension to a piece of writing, so they're a very important piece of punctuation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to be using the same sentence for today's exclamation mark example. I'm going to say a sentence that requires a full stop, and then I'm going to say the same sentence again that requires an exclamation mark. And let's see if you can notice the difference of why that's the case. Today was amazing. Today was amazing! Now you probably noticed when I first said that sentence, I was very just normal, like there was no emotion in there, it was very just, there was nothing about it. So in that case, you would put a full stop at the end. But the second time round, I said the sentence with a lot more excitement and a lot more enthusiasm. So therefore, it would require an exclamation mark. And that exclamation mark symbolises the emotion in the piece of text that you're writing. I'm just going to give you a couple of things that people seem to get wrong when they're writing sentences that require exclamation marks. First of all, people often put the wrong punctuation. So for example, for a sentence that does require an exclamation mark, they'll simply just put either a full stop or a question mark, and that makes no sense because it can really confuse a reader when they're reading your sentences or your piece of text or whatever have you. And we need to make sure that we're using the correct punctuation at the correct time, just like with the question marks. Now let's move on to the exclamation marks quiz. All I'm going to do for this quiz is I'm going to record myself saying the same sentence twice. And I want you to identify which of the recordings out of recording 1 or number 2 needs an exclamation mark.
Today was a really bad day today. It was horrible. Today was a really bad day today. It was horrible.
Today was a really bad day today. It was horrible. Today was a really bad day today. It was horrible. And if you were paying attention to what I was saying to you in the video, you've probably guessed it. It is actually recording number 1. And that is because when I'm saying the sentence, I'm expressing an emotion. And in that sentence, you could clearly see that I was really upset. Whereas in the second one, it was very formal, very dull, and you couldn't really tell how I was feeling. If you've made it to this point in the video, congratulations. That means you've completed both the question marks quiz and the exclamation marks quiz. Well, let's see if you're up for the extra challenge, the Mr. Ryan's Ultimate Quiz. Now, Mr. Ryan Jr. actually will do this quiz. I'm just going to tell him what he needs to do, but he gets to choose what he does and how he does it. So, today, Mr. Ryan Jr. is going to be putting 6 sentences on the screen. And I want you to circle the sentences that require a question mark, and I want you to underline the sentences that require an exclamation mark. Good luck! If you were able to get those questions correct, congratulations, you're officially not only question mark masters, but exclamation mark masters too. Anyway, that is it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.